stage 1, we've seen how to get to stage 2 of the rodeo control. We've seen some of the basic things that they're going to do right away to try to get out and defend or escape the position. Right? Now, most of those things lead to submissions for me. Okay, so I want to make sure that I have ways to keep them there off those movements and ways to finish them off those movements. So now, we're going to show you a few finishes that we can use when we're in rodeo control position. Doesn't really matter if it's stage 1 or stage 2, all the same submissions work. Some may work better from stage 1 versus stage 2 or the other way around, alright? So let's say I'm just starting out with the basic armbar once again. Getting myself into position, stage 1. Alright, now I always have an omoplata. His arm is across. The omoplata is always a good option if you have a good omoplata. Alright, I think most of you know how to do an omoplata from here already, but I'll go ahead and do it real fast. The way I like to do it is this hand grabs his pant leg, right on the outside of his pant leg. This hand switches and grabs his sleeve and keeps it to my hip. From here I'm going to face out, bring my leg up towards his shoulder, and I'm pushing on his pant leg as I stomp my leg straight. This is how I flatten him out. Okay? Keeping pushing down with his hand here the whole time. Use my leg to sit up. Make sure I close the distance between our hips. Get the underhook. I should be able to control his arm with my body and no hands right here. Underhook the far shoulder. Knee up. I want to push off of this foot and drive my knee to the mat. And there's my omoplata. So once again, omoplata. I let go of the belt, I grab the pants. I let go of the lapel, I grab the sleeve. I step out, stomp in his armpit as I push against his pant leg right here, flatten him out. Sit up, making sure I'm pushing his hand down into my hip. Close the gap. I lay over his forearm with my belly, trapping it so I don't need my hands. Grab under the arm, reinforce it, base up. I'm using this foot to drive my knee towards the mat. And there's the omoplata. Okay, let's get into some different ideas. One thing I like to do, okay, if he lifts his head up, and I'm pushing with my leg to defend the pressure, and I'm pulling on the lapel together, this keeps him under control. But the more he pushes with his head, the easier it is for me to get a triangle. I'm just going to push my leg off his head. Boom, like this. Pull his head in with the lapel, and then switch. Grab my ankle, base to the hip, hip out. Notice I'm not pulling the arm across. I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about going under the far side arm. Lock that, lock it in, grab my hands together, and squeeze. So if my opponent is lifting his head and I'm pushing, like we control here, and he keeps fighting it, I'm going to stomp it off of his head so his head pops out. I'm feeding his head in by pulling the lapel, and now I turn it over the neck, put the foot to the hip and grab my shin. I'm going to go ahead and let go of his lapel, keep hipping out as I go under the same side arm my head is on, feed in a good triangle. I'm under the arm, around his head, and over my leg, all at the same time as I squeeze. Very tight, solid triangle shoulder. Okay guys, sometimes he's trying to push my foot off the head. And as I was saying before, I want to keep my heel tucked in, okay? Turn my hips towards his head as he's doing that and push against his arm. That makes it hard to push my leg off, alright? If he's able to push my leg off and pop his head out, remember I still have the lapel, so look what I do. I come around, I chop my hand in, and I take the X shoulder. So we're here, we're fighting. He's fighting to get my leg off his head. I know this. And I might even let him. He pulls it off. Bring him across. I have a lapel grip. And I go right for the X choke. Another option would be go back to the triangle in this situation. So he's pushing my leg again. He pops his head out. We feed, but he lets go of the leg. As soon as he lets go of the leg, I go back to the triangle. Straight arm lock. Okay, guys. Now he goes to pushing my leg, but I have my heel tucked very tight, and I'm constantly trying to point my foot under his armpit. All right. So when he goes, he kind of misses, and I'm here. I want to sit out so that my hips turn down, my head is up. I'm going to sit up, I pull over his lapel and base out. From here now, I'm going to grab his arm with my arm, hug it, fall towards his head, and cross my feet. I want to avoid a neck crank here, so I really don't like to finish like this because it creates more of a neck crank. I get more of an arm bar when I can grab the wrist and pull here. It's a good stretch of the shoulder and chest. Here again, he goes to grab my foot and I tuck it under and get the underhook. Now, sit out a little bit, pull myself up, and underhook the arm. Sit back towards the head and across the feet. Don't finish from here, I can, but it becomes more of a neck crank. I'm going to swim to his wrist, grab his wrist with two hands, and pull here. Notice I'm not like pulling and doing my hips. I could, but that does create more of a neck crank. So when I come here, I keep my knees pulled in, my feet crossed, and all I'm doing is pulling. I'm not putting the hips into it. Okay, guys, so we'll say this time. His arm comes across my belly. I'm loose on the arm, and he pulls it across thinking he's going to get out. Okay? But look, I have my hook here now. So what I'm going to stomp off of this leg, point this knee to the mat, hug his arm with two hands. I want to keep spinning and face his legs. And take the arm lock. I start to put pressure down. I may tap him, more than likely he's going to roll, so I just follow him, making sure my foot stays under his head right now. Keep my knees pinched and arm lock here. If he tries to sit up and pass my leg, all I need to do to defend that is keep pulling my knee to my chest. So when he goes to sit up, I pull my knee to my chest, and then often I'll bring my leg around at this point and bring him back down and finish it here in an even stronger position. Okay, so here once again, I want to make sure my elbow is tucked to my side. He brings his arm around, so automatically it goes over my arm, so I have an underhook. So I use this underhook to control his arm, stomp with my leg to get my hip out, pull my knee to the mat, I'm on my shoulder and knee, bring my knees together, my legs, my feet stay behind his head, I just kind of cross my feet here. Grabbing his wrist, I want to spin towards his feet. So I can either finish here, more than likely he'll roll, I follow up and finish here. If he tries to sit up, pull my knee into my chest so he can't pass my leg, frame him back out as I come around, and finish him off. Alright guys, I have one last one for today, and another little tip and trick, okay? I'm doing everything from stage one right now just because it's easier for explanation purposes right now. So, as I'm here, if he tries to roll, remember he's lifting his hips up, alright? So I'm pulling on the belt, stomping on his hips for control, alright? But what I'm going to do for the submission is this. I'm going to let go of the belt, and I'm going to bring my leg to here, almost like an omoplata. But I'm not going to do an omoplata. I'm going to go under his body and pass my knee under his belly, under his hip. So now my ankle is up in his armpit. I'm going to hug his body with two hands as I figure four my legs. Now I pull the body and stomp my legs away. And you got like a nasty body crush. I don't even know what you call it. It's like a trap crush or something. There's a lat, a trap back here. This is lats, right? Okay, so once again, this time he's lifting his hip. So I pull the belt and stomp with the leg. That's what keeps control, okay? But since his hip is up, I can switch. I'm going to switch my grip here, bring my leg out, and move my hip. My goal right now is getting my knee under his hip and getting my ankle into his armpit. So we're here. We're going to go under his hip, grab my hands together, and make the figure 4. So now pull to my chest, pinch, and press the hips. So my foot is up in here, guys. It's not like an omoplata. It's a different type of position, if you can see well. It's my ankle in his armpit, all right? So it's more like a crush, a slicer, than it is like a arm lock or shoulder lock. I push the hips and pull on the hips at the same time. All right, guys, as I said to you before, paying attention to his far side arm, I'm going to go to stage 2 control, and as we kind of move and roll around, I really want you to pay attention to the far side arm. And I want you to see how easy this submission is to get in a live situation. Okay, so let's say we're here. And I'm going to feed the lapel, going right to stage 2. And we're nice and tight, okay? So I'm pulling on this lapel, this shoulder towards me all the time. Now notice this arm, we're going to move around a little bit more. I just want you to pay attention to this arm, okay? Let's go ahead and move around a bit. Look at this arm the whole time. It's almost always floating right here. All I have to do is reach and grab it. Cross my feet and pull the wrist. Okay? It's floating there so easy. Especially if I let people roll, it tends to work out better. As they roll, I tuck this foot in, just keep it tight. He goes to roll. And as we come back, look, I always just come right in position. It's always floating, these underhooks are there all the time. So I put his head to the mat. Reach for the far side, cross, go for the wrist. You gotta kind of climb your way up, and then pull the wrist. I'm telling you, it's there floating all the time. I do this move all the time. All right, guys? So your main objective right now is being able to, 1, get to the rodeo control. All right? Don't worry about getting the submissions. Don't worry about getting an omoplata or a triangle when you're rolling around. Worry about just getting there and then be able to control people from there. Control them. Get there. Try to keep them there as long as you can and see what they can do to try to get out. That's what I did, and that's how I came up with good answers. That's how I came up with good ways to control them and good ways to submit them in this position. Once you've mastered the control, and even as you are controlling them but not doing submissions, at least be thinking about what you see available. That's a very important step. Control people in your positions. Right now, rodeo control. Control them there. Don't go for the submissions, but pay attention to what's available. All right? Once you've gotten good control of them and people aren't getting away from you, then start to add the submissions in. All right? Pay attention to what's available and try to take what they give you. Don't try to force any of them. There's a lot of good options here. Okay, so I promise you guys that if you drill this position, if you drill it according to how I taught you, that it should come for you, as it is for me, almost an inescapable position. As I said before, I get people in this position, and I've never, that I can even think of on the top of my head right now, had anybody really escape it when I was just trying to keep them there. You know, it's like getting a mountain, just trying to maintain it. They might get out when you go for the armbar, but not when you're just trying to maintain it. You want to have it so it's that they cannot get out. And I think it's a way better position than the mount or any other position as far as control goes. Very dominant control position. The good thing is that the submissions are so high percentage from here, and they're very safe. I'm not making a big risk to go for a lot of these submissions, okay? Because his arms, I'm controlling his arm, his hips, his head, his far side arm. I have like 4 points of control, so I'm in a very dominant position. All right, so take advantage of it, practice it, and I guarantee it's gonna change your game.